The glass door of Hanseong Enterprises opened with a soft electronic beep, and Mina Song walked in carrying a cardboard box with her belongings, a mug with a cat print, a worn notebook, and too much hope to fit in one place. It was her first day as a marketing department intern, and she was already late. Her new shoe bit into her heel, her white blouse had a coffee stain she tried to hide with her badge, and her heart pounded as if she were running a marathon. At 26, after 3 years unemployed and a resume full of rejections, this opportunity felt like a miracle, or a trap. The lobby was imposing, all white marble and digital panels displaying successful campaigns. Employees crossed the space with hurried steps, all impeccably dressed, all seeming to know exactly where they were going. Mina swallowed hard. She didn't belong in this world, but she needed to pretend she did. "You must be the new intern," said a sharp voice behind her. Mina turned too quickly and the box slipped from her hands, scattering objects across the gleaming floor. The mug rolled to the feet of a tall woman in a gray suit with an icy expression. What a promising start. Mina knelt down, her face burning, gathering everything hastily. Sorry. The woman didn't move. She just watched with narrowed eyes and a smile that didn't reach her face. It was Linda Park, the company's executive partner, the CEO's wife. Mina knew this because she had obsessively researched Hanseong the night before. Linda was beautiful, powerful, and intimidating. Everything Mina wasn't. "Follow me," Linda ordered, turning without waiting for an answer. Mina stumbled after her, still holding the box, trying not to look as desperate as she felt. The hallway was long and silent, only the sound of Linda's heels echoing against the walls. "Here we value efficiency and discretion. We have no room for mistakes. Understood?" Mina nodded, even knowing she had already made her first mistake in the first 5 minutes. She spent the morning trying to understand the digital filing system, which seemed to have been designed by someone who hated humanity. Each click led to a new window. Each folder had infinite subfolders, and when she finally found the document she needed, she realized she had sent the wrong file to the client. Her supervisor, a middle-aged man with zero patience, just sighed and said she'd be lucky if she lasted a week. At lunchtime, Mina hid in the 12th floor bathroom, sitting on the closed toilet, eating a crumpled sandwich and holding back tears. Maybe she really wasn't cut out for this. Maybe it would be easier to give up, go back to her mother's house, accept that some people just weren't born to shine. But then she thought about the overdue electricity bill, the pride in her mother's eyes when she heard about the job, the promise she made to herself not to give up anymore. She wiped her face, straightened her blouse, and went back to her desk. She would try again, and again, until she got it right. In the afternoon, she was assigned to take urgent documents to the CEO's office on the top floor. "Just leave them on his desk and get out. Don't touch anything," the supervisor warned, as if she were an irresponsible child. Mina held the folder with both hands, as if carrying a treasure, and entered the elevator. The journey to the top seemed to last forever. When the doors opened, she found herself facing a different corridor from the rest of the building. Quieter, more luxurious, almost intimidating in its perfection. The office door was ajar. Mina knocked lightly, but no one answered. She pushed the door and entered, stepping on the soft carpet, her eyes scanning the enormous room. Mahogany shelves, an imposing desk, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. And then she saw him. Jae Hyun Kang stood with his back turned, looking out the window, hands in the pockets of his perfectly tailored dress pants. He didn't turn when she entered, but said in a low, tired voice, "Leave it on the desk." Mina obeyed. But as she placed the folder down, she bumped into a gold pen that rolled and fell to the floor with a metallic sound. She quickly bent down to pick it up and, as she stood up, hit her head on the corner of the desk. The impact made her eyes burn, and she let out a muffled moan. "Are you okay?" Jae Hyun turned for the first time, and Mina found herself trapped in that gaze. He was even more handsome up close than in the corporate photos. Angular face, dark and deep eyes, an expression that oscillated between concern and something like curiosity. For a moment, neither of them moved. "I'm fine," Mina managed to say, even with her head throbbing. She extended the pen to him, but her hands were shaking. Jae Hyun walked up to her, took the pen, and with a gentle movement, lightly touched where she had hit her head. "You're going to have a bump here," he said, almost as if talking to himself. His voice was strangely kind, without the authoritative tone she expected from a CEO. "Sorry," Mina murmured, because it was the only thing she knew how to say at that moment. "I'm a disaster." Jae-hyun gave a half smile, something that seemed rare on that serious face. "We all are sometimes." He returned to the window, but this time his back seemed less tense. "What's your name?" She blinked, surprised. "Mina. Mina Song. I'm an intern." "Welcome to Hanseong, Mina Song." There was something in his tone that made it seem like he really cared. In the following days, Mina continued making small disasters. She spilled coffee on a manager's report, forgot to confirm an important meeting, sent an email to the wrong person. But somehow she wasn't fired. And somehow, every time she crossed paths with Jae-hyun in the hallways, he greeted her with a discreet nod. As if she mattered. As if he saw her. One night, it was past 9 and Mina was still in the office trying to correct a typo in a presentation. The room was empty, silent, and she felt her eyelids heavy. That's when the door opened and Jae-hyun walked in, holding a jacket over his arm. He seemed surprised to see her. "Still here?" Mina straightened in her chair, trying to look professional. "Just finishing something." He approached, looked at the computer screen and frowned. "This should have been done by someone else. It's not intern work." Mina shrugged, trying to hide her exhaustion. "I messed up, so I figured I should fix it." Jae-hyun watched her for a long moment, something changing in his expression. "You're too hard on yourself." She let out a short, humorless laugh. "I don't have a choice." He pulled up a chair and sat beside her, something so unexpected that Mina was paralyzed. "Let me see." He took the mouse and with quick and precise movements, corrected the layout in seconds. "Done." Mina blinked. "How did you—" "I built this company from scratch. I learned to do everything before delegating." There was a subtle sadness in his voice, as if the memory of those times carried more weight than pride. They stayed there, in silence, only the hum of the air conditioning filling the space. Mina knew she should leave, that this moment was strange and inappropriate, but something kept her there. "Why are you still here?" she asked before she could stop herself. Jae-hyun looked at her, and for the first time Mina saw tiredness in his eyes. Not just the tiredness of a long day, but something deeper. "Good question." They began crossing paths more frequently. Sometimes in the elevator, sometimes in the parking lot, sometimes at strange hours when the building was empty. And always, always, there was that silent tension between them. Jae-hyun never spoke much, but Mina began to notice small gestures. He would hold the elevator door when he saw her running, leave an extra coffee in the meeting room where she worked, correct her mistakes without fanfare. And then, one afternoon, Mina overheard the conversation. She was in the 15th floor break room, hidden behind the coffee machine, when 2 executives walked in. "Did you know their marriage is just for convenience? Linda married him to maintain control of the company. They don't even live together." The other woman let out a low laugh. Poor Jae-hyun, a billionaire trapped in a golden cage. Mina stood still, her heart racing. She shouldn't have heard that, but now she couldn't turn off the information in her mind. Jae-hyun was married, but he wasn't happy, and that somehow changed everything and nothing at the same time. The following week, Mina was summoned to help with an important presentation. It was a meeting with international investors, and she would be responsible for operating the slides. It seemed simple, but of course nothing was simple in Mina's life. In the middle of the presentation, she pressed the wrong button and instead of the financial chart, a photo of a cat with a funny caption that she had saved by mistake appeared on the screen. The silence in the room was deafening. Mina felt the blood drain from her face. Linda, sitting in the front row, glared at her. But then, unexpectedly, Jae-hyun laughed. It wasn't loud, but it was genuine. And, like a domino effect, the investors laughed too. "Even our systems have a sense of humor," Jae-hyun said smoothly. "Let's continue." Mina corrected the error with trembling hands, but couldn't stop looking at him. He had saved her. After the meeting, Linda cornered her in the hallway. "You're a joke. I don't know how you're still here, but I'll make sure you don't last much longer. Her words were like blades, sharp and precise. Mina just nodded, her throat tight, unable to respond. When Linda walked away, Mina leaned against the wall and closed her eyes, fighting back tears. Don't listen to her. Jae-hyun's voice made her open her eyes. He was there, a few steps away, hands in his pockets, face serious. Linda can be difficult. Mina let out a bitter laugh. She's right. I'm a disaster. You're human, Jae-hyun corrected, and that here is rare. He moved a little closer, and Mina could smell his cologne, subtle and expensive. Don't give up, Mina. Something in that moment changed. There was a connection between them that went beyond words, something silent and dangerous. Mina knew she was stepping on a minefield. He was married. He was her boss. He was unattainable. But when he looked at her that way, as if she were the only real person in a world of masks, it was impossible not to feel. Weeks passed and Mina improved at work. She wasn't perfect, but she was learning. And more importantly, she was learning to stand up for herself. When Linda made cutting remarks, she responded politely but firmly. When she made mistakes, she corrected them without apologizing 1,000 times. And Jae-hyun noticed. He always noticed. They began talking more. Not about work, but about real things. He told her he had built the company alone, that Linda came in as an investor years later, that the marriage was strategic from the beginning. I thought it would be enough, he said one night, when they were alone in his office, looking at the illuminated city. That building something big would fill the void, but it didn't. Mina didn't know what to say. She just stood beside him in silence, offering the only thing she could. Presence. And you? He asked, turning to look at her. Why did you take this job? She thought for a moment. Because I needed to prove I could, to my mother, to myself, to the world that always told me I wasn't good enough. Jae-hyun looked at her with an intensity that made her look away. You're more than good enough, Mina. There was something in his voice that made her believe, even if just for an instant. But reality wasn't kind. Linda began to suspect. Mina saw the way she watched, how her eyes narrowed when Jae-hyun and Mina were in the same environment. And then came the summons. Linda wanted to see her in her office. Mina entered with her heart in her throat. Linda was sitting behind her desk, fingers interlaced, sharp smile. Sit down. Mina obeyed, her hands sweaty. I'll be direct. You're getting too close to my husband, and that needs to stop. Mina's blood ran cold. I didn't. We just... Don't insult me by denying it, Linda interrupted. I know when someone is interested, and I know when my husband reciprocates. Mina felt tears burning but held them back. I never meant to. It doesn't matter what you meant. It matters what you're going to do. You're going to keep your distance, or you'll lose this job and any chance of working at another respectable company in this city. Understood? Mina nodded, her throat tight. Yes. Good, you can go. Mina left the office stumbling, the world spinning. She knew Linda had power. She knew she had no choice. But when she saw Jae-hyun in the hallway, something inside her broke. He noticed immediately. What happened? Mina shook her head. Nothing, I have to go. And she left before he could stop her. In the following days, Mina avoided Jae-hyun. She looked away when he passed, declined invitations to meetings where he would be, left the elevator if he entered. It was painful, but necessary. She couldn't lose that job. She couldn't risk everything for something impossible. But Jae-hyun didn't give up. He showed up at her desk one night when everyone had already left. Why are you avoiding me? His voice was low, but there was a pain in it that broke Mina's heart. Because I need to, she answered without looking at him. Because this, whatever this is, can't happen. Because of Linda. She finally faced him. Because of everything. You're married, you're my boss, you're impossible. Jae-hyun took a step forward. What if I didn't want it to be impossible? Mina felt breathless. What are you saying? I'm saying I'm going to file for divorce. I'm saying this marriage ended years ago. I'm saying that For the first time in a long time, I feel alive. And it's because of you. The words hung in the air, heavy and real. Mina wanted to believe, but fear was greater. What if it doesn't work out? What if Linda destroys everything? Jae-hyun held her face with both hands, forcing her to look at him. Then we'll rebuild. Together. It was Linda who forced the situation. She called an extraordinary board meeting, demanding Mina's dismissal for inappropriate conduct. But Jae-hyun, for the first time in years, rebelled. He walked into the boardroom, placed the divorce papers in front of Linda, and said with a frightening calm, "Either you withdraw the accusation, or I expose all the financial schemes you've been doing behind my back." The silence in the room was absolute. Linda paled but tried to maintain composure. "You wouldn't do that. Test me." There was something dangerous about Jae-hyun at that moment, something that reminded everyone why he was the CEO. Linda looked around, saw she had lost, and left the room without saying a word. The meeting was adjourned. Mina was cleared. Afterward, Jae-hyun found her in the parking lot. She was leaning against the car, trembling, still processing everything. "You didn't have to do that," she said. "I know, but I wanted to." He approached, and this time there was no hesitation. "Mina, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if we'll work out, but I know I want to try." She looked at him. This man who seemed to have everything, but who was actually as lost as she was. "Me too." And then, there, under the parking lot lights, he kissed her. It was gentle and desperate at the same time, a kiss that carried months of silence and desire. When they separated, both were smiling. The divorce took months but was eventually finalized. Linda left the company with a generous severance package, and Mina was promoted to a real position, not because of Jae-hyun, but because she had proven her worth. The gossip lasted a few weeks, but soon became old news. And one night, when it was late and the building was empty, Jae-hyun and Mina sat together in his office, looking at the city below. "Do you regret it?" she asked. He took her hand and intertwined their fingers. "Never." She rested her head on his shoulder, finally feeling she was where she should be. Not everything was perfect. There were still challenges, still fear of the future. But for the first time, both believed it was worth trying. And maybe, just maybe, that clumsy intern and that lonely CEO had found in each other something neither knew they were looking for: a home.